same stuff, different, slight variation. Yeah, I'll go in there. Okay, so I was just asked, we talked about Wegener's disease. What about Morgellons? Apparently in Europe, you're starting to see a lot of Morgellons disease, yeah? Well, Morgellons also part of the same family, but what we have to remember is that there is changes depending on where we are because they're running multiple programs. They are testing variations of cocktails, and so, for example, right now in the south of France, they're seeing a lot of Morgellons. In the East Coast, we see more Lyme fibro. In Canada, we're seeing more MS. In Texas, they're seeing more bowel degeneration, like the IBS colitis coming through the likes of the parvo cocktail. So what we have to understand is that, yes, all of these diseases are the same, and by really going to the root fundamental pathogen, and the root pathogen here is the mycoplasma as a root. By going to the root mycoplasma, we enable the body the ability to activate its immunofunction and to start clearing out the co-infection. So what I'm going to take you through as far as protocol goes will apply to every single one of these conditions. Now, what I'm doing today, because again, we only have the hour and a half or 2 hours, very limited time together. What I'm going to do today is merely show you the nosodic, the means for zapping pathogen and how to go about it in a systematic way, okay? However, this is only one part. Remember, and God, I wish we'd started from the beginning, all of us, so many times. But remember, we always must honor the three fundamental phases of healing everything and anything. Healing always begins with detoxification. So we have to detox energetically, physically, emotionally, and that's what I'm focusing on today, is the detox, the phase one portion of this healing. Now, in the presentations that I've given you for Lyme, Alzheimer, all of the diseases listed, at the bottom of the presentations that you'll get off of the website, what you'll see is I've given you all the different types of supportive remedies, the different forms of nutrition, the different herbs that clients can be using to be supporting themselves. When they are in the support of self, applying these nutrients, these supplements, that is phase two. When we are supporting the body, we primarily start with detox on blocking. We move into phase two, whereby we are offering the body very specific support, and then we move into phase three. And in phase three, really what we're doing is stimulating stem cells to the areas of issue, as well as vastly increasing the growth hormone potential of the body. And this stimulates their ability to really heal, especially the HGH. So many of us only think about human growth hormone as it applies to things such as sport. However, do you remember in 98, 99, 2000, the big supplement on the scene was DHEA? And then it suddenly disappeared. You remember? So much positive headway was being made supporting people in their healings with DHEA, yet it was there and then it was gone. Not really spoken of. I think in North America, we were really focused on deer antler as means of DHEA, and what was happening was extraordinary. Once the body's been properly detoxed and supported and is able to then work by pushing on the stem cell and the growth hormone in combination, delivering them directly to the targeted areas of issue, profound things happen. Profound things happen. We see people actually heal. So, for what I'm going to make available for you on the website will only be phase one related, meaning I'm going to provide 2 protocols to you that I can show you now. 2 protocols I will provide for you to support the stabilizing of the endocrine system and the re-repair of the autonomic nervous system. That's fundamentally where it has to begin. I will then also provide sessions 1 through 8, which will have you zapping very specific pathogen from session to session, alternating, because the body can only support so much in one given session. So, rather than take you through it and click here, click there, because we don't really have enough time, what I want to do is show you what's available for you, okay? So, just give me a moment here. Where's my mouse? Why don't I see it? Does anybody see my mouse? There it is. That's the neovascular glaucoma kicking in. There it is. Okay. Okay, so on the website, this is what you're going to find. Under protocols, they will be called Zap the Path, sessions 1 through 8. Okay, so there will be a total of 10 protocols. Oh, is that not showing? Oh, do you want to do it for me? Sorry, thanks. It's always good to have a Ron. Oh, for any of you looking for additional tech support while he's here for the moment, I just want everybody to know, in my opinion, the best tech support available for practitioners when you need to reload your software, when you have a problem with your computer, etc., is provided through this man. This is Ron Verhage. He runs Seriously Smart Technologies. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them online. They provide accessories. They provide technical support, software, and they answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right? Sometimes. SeriouslysmartTechnologies.com. And you can find them on Facebook as well. But an amazing resource for practitioners, especially when you're in a jam. Ron is my go-to. Last night at 4 a.m. we were working on my presentation for today. All right, so I'm going to show you what we're doing. In one session, we are going to address 4 pathogens. Now, unfortunately, as I said earlier, we do not have access direct to all the nosodes that would be idyllic, but we do have often herbal remedy solutions offered through Monastery of Herbs and different remedies built in that enable us the ability to address and come close. However, to access the actual weaponized pathogen is very, very difficult. So in session 1, what we're going to be doing is zapping Lyme 1, Lyme 2, Lyme 3, and Lyme 4. You'll find them listed as such in your matrix. Now, as we're zapping them, you'll notice that everything in my sessions will always say startup. If you've not attended my course, this will be foreign to you, but ultimately, I have changed the paradigm in my classes from what we were trained in the beginning, in Genesis, with our devices. In essence, the ideas of going into risk profile, short sarcodes, mineralization, all those things that we were fundamentally taught can take you 20, 30 minutes, eat half your session, are really not foundational to what a client needs at the beginning of a session. When your client comes into your office, fundamentally, 2 things need to happen. 1, they need to be pushed into an elevated theta brainwave state. And the reason for the theta brainwave state is because it is the brainwave of parasympathetic. The client needs to be pushed into a theta brainwave state. And we do that by going into the EEG, ECG panel, clicking on theta, and treating clicked item 10 times. I will also, just for you, because there's no way you're going to be able to get this down quick enough, I will also include the startup procedure. Now the premise is, in the beginning of the session, the client needs to be pushed into a theta elevation, and they need to be stabilized via the vagus nerve, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nerve, all found in electrophysiological oscillation freak, such that the first thing that happens within the first 10 minutes of my session with my client is this. Hopefully they're not a smoker and you don't hear them wheezing as they do it. But you're looking for that big parasympathetic breath. You're looking for that shift. Also, the startup procedure teaches you to get your body viewer, disease dictionary, iridology, and up to as many, however, never more recommended than 3 C-scan panels, the conflict panel, the cancer scan, which can actually be used as an additional program like the body viewer, disease dictionary, or iridology, structured to run in the background for the duration of the session. Within the first 10 minutes of the session, you will have all of that running, your body viewer, your irid, your disease dictionary, and multiple C-scan panels, as well as you will have elevated a theta wave speed state, and balanced out the autonomic nervous system in the EEG panel via the vagus, sympathetic, and parasympathetic. All of that's going to happen in the first 10 minutes. And we want this to happen every session. Regardless of whether or not you're working on this protocol or another, the fundamental first thing that needs to happen for your client, if you're going to have access to really being able to work with their body, you need them into that parasympathetic. So the first introduction every time should be this. Client walks in, they should be elevated into theta, pushed into autonomic nervous system balance. You want and you want it to happen every session. And the reason is, how many of you have ever done meditation? Put your hands up, please. Awesome. Now, when you first started to meditate, how many of you had very deep, profound experience? Put your hands up. First time. First time, really? Or you couldn't shut the monkey up the first time, right? Okay, the first time you couldn't shut the monkey up. However, the more you did it, the faster you got there, right? So what we want to do is the same thing. Biofeedback is entrainment. We want to entrain the client, almost similar to obedience training our dog. We want to train the client that anytime they walk into your office, the first thing that happens is, because once you hear that breath, the body is now open, you have access, and you're able to work with them. Okay, so in session 1, what we're going to do is start by coming in, selecting line 1, 2, and 3, 4, and that's going to look something like this. Can everybody see clearly enough? Or you at least can follow and you know the screens, right? I could track you through, but this is much quicker for me to show you. Sorry? Can't see it? You want me to make it bigger? Again, you don't have to write this down. This is provided for you. I'm just trying to show you so you get a generalized idea. Okay? We're going to start with the short sarcodes. You're going to run through the short sarcodes panel as follows. But there's been some stuff that's been taught this weekend that I really want people to understand because, in my opinion, arguably, it's not been taught correctly. And yes, I just said that. And of course, now my system decides to be a bitch and crash. So I'm going to use it this way. Okay, so as you're zapping within the short sarcodes, going through your channels of elimination, what's your feedback system? How do you interpret this? Notice at the bottom of the panel, you have repaired value, inflammation, infection, degeneration, and toxicity. You will always have toxicity, you will always have inflammation, you will always have degeneration, and you will always have imbalance or whatever the other marker is that's showing there. Your body is degenerating, and it has been since it was born. You're a machine working in process, therefore the resonance the energetic of all of these things are playing out all of the time. It's like the body is singing a song. So what you want here is that the lead singer is the most prominent voice heard. Hence, I would offer you that the best way to apply this panel is to be working such that the repaired value, 85% or better, is 10% higher than any of the other values listed, such that inflammation, degeneration, and toxicity, that these are the choirs. They're singing the song. But the lead singer, the real song that's going on, is regeneration and repair. That is balancing out the energetic of these things. And so you're going to go through your SAR codes. You're going to rock through all of your channels of elimination. You're going to, as you can see, I'll just flip through it quickly. You're going to come in. You're going to set up all your piggyback therapies if you know how to do that, and it's in the protocol. And then you're going to just start rocking through ear plus, etc. You're going to go through lymph, liver, kidney. I forgot lung, but add that in. Intestine, small and large, male or female problems, endocrine system. Then you're going to bust over, you're going to do skin, and you're going to do heart. I'll add that in. And then you're going to switch over and you're going to do brain, because these are neurosystemics and you want to very much open up the brain channel, as when you start to zap, you want this released from the brain. Then what we're going to do from the short SAR codes, again, there's, in my opinion, there were a lot of ideas that were taught and not completed. So for example, anytime you're doing any form of detox, a means of ensuring that you do not stimulate a Herx response is to ensure that your short SAR code program both precedes and follows your zapping. Think about it this way. At home, when you clean your bathtub, the first thing you do is you rinse your tub, right? You don't just start scrubbing. You get it wet. You rinse it and you rinse off all the gunk that's around. But the tub's not clean. You have to scrub it. So the rinsing of the tub and the draining of the tub would be your short SAR codes. Then if you're zapping through the matrix or you're using your homeotoxicology panel, if you're using your homeotoxicology panel, this would be like scrubbing your tub. You're pulling the adaptive toxins that have moved into the tub out by scrubbing, right? This would be similar to homotoxicology or zapping in the matrix. However, is the tub clean now? You've rinsed it, you've scrubbed it. Is the tub clean? No, what do you have to do? You got to rinse and drain it again, right? Therefore, anytime you're facilitating any form of detox, it should always be, whether you're using the matrix or homeotoxicology, the flow should always be short SAR codes, detox, short SAR codes. Rinse and drain the tub, scrub the tub, rinse and drain the tub. By offering the additional short SAR codes, you will find that you have far less Herx response in your client, because you're not just pulling adaptive toxins out of tissue that are now circulating around only to have to adapt again. You are supporting the facilitation of the release by going back into the short SAR codes and ensuring that. You can also do things like blood cleanses, which I haven't included in the protocols. I would recommend, I haven't included. I tried to write these protocols so that they would fit within the span of your session, so that they would fit within a 1 hour session, because so many of the protocols offered and written take like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you could never apply them professionally. So I try to keep the timing of everything down to an hour. However, in personal practice and application, at the end of a zap, after the short SAR codes, I would always do a blood cleanse in the dark field panel. That's not included in these protocols. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start by coming into the matrix. I'll show you this process, and it's very simple. I'm sure most of you already know how to do this. Oh, but I can't get in. Maybe I can. No, I can't. Will it not let me in? It's funny. It's like the first time it's crashed. So we're going to just go off the PDF. The first thing I'm going to do is come into the white hold tray. I'm going to type in Lyme. I'm going to do a search. That's going to bring up all the very specific Lyme reactions. You'll notice that you have Lyme 1, Lyme 2, Lyme 3, Lyme 4. Lymes 1 and 2 have been loaded in twice. They are the same Lyme reaction. Don't worry about them. Any Lyme 1 will do, any Lyme 2 will do. Choose the one that is most reactive. However, they are the same signature loaded into the database. So in session 1, we're going to take Lyme 1. We're going to highlight it in the matrix. Then we're going to go up to the autofocus zap. You can see I've provided all that for you with circles, so it's very easy to follow along. You're going to go up to autofocus zap. You're going to change your treat key from a 7-second treat key to a 3-minute zap key. You're going to come in. You're going to zap Lyme 1 for 3 minutes. Now, at the end of 3 minutes, if you have not achieved, I can't reach, it's way too tall and I'm way too short. If you have not achieved in the top left corner under shaping function where it says either shaping function or excellent, if at the end of 3 minutes it is not excellent, you are going to treat, not zap, but treat again, the 7-second treat. You're going to continue to treat until you get shaping function excellent, which is your measure of the fact that what you're zapping has been properly received. You're going to treat till shaping function excellent. It explains it again. You can see all the steps for you, at which point you will ensure that you unzap and treat until excellent shaping function, like I just said. Then what you're going to do is drop the same Lyme 1 remedy that you've just zapped. You're going to drag and drop Lyme 1 into the magenta hold tray. Into the magenta hold tray. Remember, it's good to take notes, but you are going to have full access to these protocols. You're going to drag and drop it into the hold tray, and then you're going to come into the library of items where you can set a filter. You're going to select SAR codes from the list so that you turn the database. You have filtered the matrix now into being solely sarcodal, only organ tissue. Then what we're going to do is test item in hold tray above. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking Lyme 1, we're challenging it against the SAR code, against the organ, and we're really asking the question of the body, where are you and what do you need to be cleared? The body will then respond, as all of us know, with the additional yellow items which will appear underneath the white hold tray. And each one of those you will double click on, treating each until you achieve shaping function excellent for each. See, the yellow guys right there. Is there a laser pointer here or anything? No? Does everybody know what I mean? Nobody's lost? Hello? Good. Okay, so you're going to challenge against the SAR code and understand here what you're really doing is cleaning out the predominant areas that are most reactive and theoretically most affected at the present by said pathogen. You're going to start systematically cleaning the body out. So you're going to start with Lyme 1. You're going to click on all of the additional items which pop up as you've challenged Lyme 1 against the SAR codes. You're going to click on each until shaping function excellent. Then you're going to do the exact same thing, bless you, whoever that was. You're going to do the exact same thing for Lyme 2. You're going to zap it for 3 minutes. At the end of 3 minutes, you'll take your zap key back down to a treat key if you haven't achieved your shaping function excellent. Once you do, you're going to drag and drop it into the magenta hold tray. You're going to challenge it against the SAR codes. After you've challenged it against the SAR codes, individually clicking on each one of those yellows until shaping function excellent. Yeah, Clay, what's up? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The report value? Yeah, no, what the rectification value? Is that what you mean? Yeah, I use shaping function as a measure. The difference between the two is in essence as follows. Rectification is the measure of harmonic. It's like piano tuning. So, for example, the device sings an A chord to the body sings back the A chord. Rectification is how well is the body singing the A. Shaping, you can't hear me? Yes. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not offering that you would, I mean, it's a great concept only because, so what Clay is saying is that inherently shaping function, if we were to look at the program, which I can't do right now because it's crashing, God love it. If we were to go into the shaping function, because these clients often are very hypo in function, there's not a lot of gas or energy in the tank. One of the approaches when you first start working with your client can be to reduce your shaping function reward potential, for example, from the default where it's set at 85% or higher, meaning the client needs to react at 85% or better in order to have the shaping function reward which is given. The default is set to 85% and the shaping function reward is defaulted to love. Personally, I don't very often go into shaping function and amend it. However, I do understand the philosophy as a means of really invoking classic biofeedback and in training or offering incentive to a hypoactive body to start reacting. Certainly, if you find that your client is very sluggish, apathetic, and lethargic to respond through the device, one could do that. One could go into shaping function right on the main screen, reduce the reward percentage, for example, to 50, and then each session build it up with the client so that they're responding better and better and better. I personally operate a lot more like a bull in a china shop when I approach healing. Meaning things, for example, like a sluggish system, I just hitting until I get my shaping function response. If I get an alarm reaction is the best feedback you can ever get from the device. To me, alarm reaction is not a negative. Alarm reaction is a positive. If I was a massage therapist and I was touching your spine and I hit the pain point, what's going to happen? You're going to alarm. You're going to have a reaction. Should I shy away from the pain point or should I work on it? I'm going to work on it. Again, this is not an Asian massage parlor. My clients aren't necessarily coming to me to walk out with a big smile on their face. They're coming to me to heal. Healing sometimes is uncomfortable. As far as the shaping function, it can be used and applied for the purpose of creating incentive. Personally, it's just not something I do, but there's nothing wrong with that. I push them until the dog responds. Because have you ever trained a dog? Well, we're talking about the body unconscious. I'm not saying your clients are dogs, but we're talking about the body unconscious. And if you obedience train a dog, I don't give that dog a treat for a 50% response. No, because if I did, my dog would get hit by a car when it mattered. Do you know what I mean? I make that dog come. If I'm teaching him to come, he does not get his reward until he does what he's told. I approach the body unconscious in a very similar way, whereby I'll do less in a session to get a greater reaction. And I will stay focused, because another mistake often made by practitioners, many of you are probably looking at this saying, well, this is very simple. I write these very technical protocols, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm here and I'm there. And then what do you think your results are? When your protocol, when your application of the device is doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, what do you think your results are going to be? It's going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. But if you were to attempt to train your dog the same way, sit, come, stay, roll over, and you wanted to teach it all in a day, is that dog going to learn anything? No. If you look at the history of our device, the history of it is the first person who reportedly ever got great results, certainly in North America, working with neurodegenerative systemic disease, her name was Lori Marcus. The secret to her sauce, per se, was the fact that she didn't jump all over the program. She focused. She focused on one item at a time, and she would zap, for example, a pathogen. When you have access to the pathogen, like Lyme as an example, she would zap that pathogen for a minimum of 20 minutes. Same thing as parasites. And this was one of the first practitioners to boast people, for example, with ALS getting out of wheelchairs. It was the first time we started to hear consistent report of that. And the secret was, and which I further learned in China working on the Olympics, because again I had this opportunity to work with people in ways that no one else had ever. What I learned was if I focused with the device on something specific, I got a very focused result. If I did a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, the way I was trained, my results were fair to midland at best. I got a little bit of this and a little bit of that in my results. If I teach the dog come, the dog learns come. If I attempt come, stay, sit, and roll over in a session, dog doesn't learn anything. So yes, these protocols that I'm proposing here are very rudimentary, very fundamental, however they are very effective. So I could sit here and offer you pseudo-intellectuality, if you'd appreciate it, and write very technical protocols. However, they won't be effective. You want results working with something, bless you. You want results working with something this nasty, you focus. You focus on what you're doing and you get a focused outcome. And so when I get those messages from practitioners saying my client ended up in the hospital, I'm thinking, damn, bless you. Damn, my protocols are effective. Right? That to me is a confirmation point. It's a confirmation point. So we're going to follow the exact same thing for Lyme 1, Lyme 2, Lyme 3, Lyme 4. Then we're going to end at the end of the session with short sarcodes. In the short sarcodes, we're going to go again quickly through the organs of elimination. However, at this time, all we're doing is rinsing and draining. Don't worry about repaired values. Don't worry about any of the values at the bottom of the screen. Single click each one, lymph, liver, skin, lung, and go through it. It'll take you 5 or 10 minutes, and these protocols have been designed to clock in at roughly pretty much an hour, give or take 5 or 10 minutes. So you'll see the method by me just showing you the first page here. In session 1, you're going to do the zapping of Lyme 1, 2, 3, 4. Each session, we're only ever going to do a maximum of 4 pathogens, because that's pretty much all the body can support. So, oh, we don't need this one. We do need, and we don't want that, we do need this. Okay, so what you're going to see in session 2, and for a lot of these, I've given you the codes as well, you'll see as we go on. In session 2, we're going to start zapping the mycoplasma in specific. It does not necessarily have to be in this order. You could choose the order of reactivity, but make sure you write down what you zapped in today's session so you don't duplicate it in tomorrow's session. So in session 2, we're going to focus on mycoplasma. There are 8 mycoplasmas that we want to focus on. In this one, we're choosing 4, which would be MPS, MPY, MPZ, and MPT. You'll see them listed as such directly in your matrix. So that'll be session 2, in essence following the same plan. In session 3, we're going to do the other 4 mycoplasmas, which would be MPX, MPGW, MPO, and MPI. All different mycoplasma variations offered through the monastery of Herbline. Whoops. Close current tab. Oh, and we want to close that one too. And then in session 4, we move into the Babesia, the Bartonella, the Brucella, and the Brucellosis. Oh, there was one precursor that I did not offer you earlier, and that is particularly when you zap rickettsia. Anybody here ever zapped rickettsia on your clients? Yeah, what happens when you zap rickettsia? Did you notice? Or maybe you didn't draw the correlation. When you zap rickettsia, especially if you've ever seen anybody in a Lyme wave or a Lyme, we call it Lyme wave when they're experiencing a Lyme attack, right? those that have eyes to see can almost see as though there's a superimposition happening. It looks as though a black cloud literally comes over these people, and as though energetically something's sucking their vitality out of their heads through a straw is the experience, right? When you start zapping rickettsia, understand that there is an emotional detox reaction that correlates to that pathogen that is the darkness that you perceive in your clients with Lyme. Prepare your clients so that they don't think they're going nuts. I just recently did it with my friend Jackie, who you'll meet outside. She is the most level, lovely, peaceful, splendid person. Man, I zapped her with rickettsia one night, threw her into the Epsom salt bath. She did, and the next morning she was just the worst person to be around that I've ever been around. It lasted for about 2 hours until we remembered, hey, we zapped rickettsia, at which point she's like, oh, that's why I'm acting crazy. So be aware, when you start to zap the rickettsia, there is an emotional detox. It is ugly. It's important to tell this to your clients, because if they go into it unprepared, they can come out of it divorced for that evening, potentially. You don't know. Bless you. You want to be very informative. You want to tell them tell them it's coming. Because every time you zap rickettsia, you will always see this emotional detoxing backlash. Okay, so in session 4, we're going to zap the Babesia, the Bartonella, the Brucella, and the brucellosis. In session 5, we're going to do the Epstein-Barr viruses and cytomegalovirus. And again, all of these protocols provided for you. In session 6, we're going to zap prions. And there are 8 prions that have to be zapped in total, 8 variations of prion. So this is also going to take us 2 sessions of prion zapping. I've given you the specific codes you'll see right in the protocol itself for the particular prion bacteriums that you want to be zapping. Session 7, you're further doing the prions. And in session 8, we're doing Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Q fever, feline leukemia, and parvo. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, we don't have access to things like anaplasma and ehrlichia. So what you want to do is find a homeopathic solution. You can speak with Andy outside carrying the Desi homeopathics. You can use your stimulate, reaction, duplicate, remedy panel. For example, I wonder if I can get into the program. Probably not. Let's see if we're fast enough. It'll let us in. Test. Yes, bonus. Okay, so one of the things you could also choose to do is come into, when we don't have access to an item in the matrix, we have to get creative. So if you come into the EPR enhancements and pull down to where it says stimulate reaction and duplicate remedy, in here we could use hololinguistics to do something like inversion, invert ehrlichia, right? And then press the start key and we could do an inversion. If you're not familiar with the premise of it, there's 2 factors going on here. One is hololinguistics, meaning what we type into the device, it understands and knows. It can draw that out from superconscious, number 1. Number 2, inversion is the premise that, let's say, for example, ehrlichia on an axis, the signature looked like this. Inversion is the creation of the mirror opposite waveform in order to collapse it. There has been a lot of very effective work boasted and results boasted through the use of inversion over the years, extraordinarily. The first time I heard about inversion, I had Elise Harms, one of the older instructors, explain how she had applied it. She was working on her dog, and the dog had a fear of cars. So she wrote, invert fear of cars. Remember this story, some of you? Yeah. So what ended up happening was the dog was no longer afraid of cars, but the dog then got hit by a car because he wasn't afraid of cars and he was chasing the cars. So at which point we learned to use inversion in very creative ways. For example, rather than invert fear of car, invert all non-beneficial fear of car. For those of you that have learned that, that is a very creative and cool way of approaching the idea of inversion. However, when you're inverting a pathogen, there's no need, as I don't believe that there is any beneficial Ehrlichia or anaplasma. So invert Ehrlichia, invert anaplasma, type it in, press start until rectified. That's about as close as we can get to working on those pathogens unless we had the ability to load them directly into the matrix, or we get DESI to do so. So we have to get creative at times. But otherwise, most things are available, and what I've just outlined for you is a very systematic and aggressive approach to managing what is the epidemic facing all of us, all of our children, all of our family, all of our clients. The work that we've just outlined is it. It is 21st century medicine, and it is fundamental in supporting health and well-being. Again, ensure that you're using physical supportives, things like colloidal silver, the nanocolloidal. Ensure that you are properly detoxing and supporting your clients in what they need. Ensure that the endocrine system has been properly prepared. Ensure that the body detox mechanisms are properly working, because once you start applying something this systematic, this direct, this focused, and this aggressive, you are definitely going to see Herc's response in your client. And as those responses come in, know that you are doing a fantastic job, and that even though your client is not necessarily comfortable, you are guiding them to a health and healing only available, in my opinion, arguably, through SCIO and EDUCTOR. They're kicking me off now, so I hope you enjoyed the lecture. I hope it was beneficial for you, and enjoy the conference.